Welcome to our QPR Preview Show ahead of our first league away game of the season. And so you'll notice we have our new away screen graphics that we'll have this season. It's been 6 years since QPR last lost the opening two league games of the season. That was under Steve McLaren. We didn't even lose the opening two league games last season under Gareth Ainsworth. But to avoid that fate this season, QPR are going to need something from a tough looking away assignment at Sheffield United, which we'll preview shortly. But we come into this fixture on the back of a QPR Cup win, so a rare win for us in the Cup. But for my money, we were incredibly lucky to make it past Cambridge. What did you make of it, Dave?
Yeah, we made real hard work of that, didn't we? I mean, we thought we played quite well in the first half and deserved to be ahead. But even in the first half, Cambridge had chances, and we just looked a few times when we were playing the ball through midfield. It's just a bit lazy with our passes, and just seemed to be as if it was too easy for them. And they just kept giving it away. And when they got back to 2-1, I mean, we were hanging on for dear life. We were very lucky to get through, really. I mean, the chances they had, they really should have taken it to penalties at the very least. And it's worrying. We do seem, both games, I think, we do seem to have hit the wall around the hour mark and not recovered at all. And he's tried to change it from the bench, and it didn't work. Nothing really changed. And yeah, although it was great that we won, and we don't win these cup games very often, so it's quite nice. But yeah, it was a bit of a worrying performance second half, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in a cup, the result, I suppose, is all that matters. But longer term, did a lot of concerning points. I mean, I was sat incognito in the Cambridge end, and the general consensus amongst their fans was that QPR were rubbish. And credit to Cambridge because they did play very well. Personally, like you said, I thought the first half was even enough. They did at the post, like you said. Walsh made a save, but second half, QPR were, let's be honest, hopeless. I mean, Cambridge were just cutting through us like a knife through butter, clean through on goal. How many one-on-ones they had, hit the woodwork again. Even had a few penalty shouts that we were probably lucky to get away with. Their fans were definitely up in arms about that. And a lot of them after the game were saying, how did Cambridge not win 6-2? I think we maybe couldn't have argued if they had. Performance level, not what we'd want. Winning a cup, like we say, doesn't really matter. Our first cup win since January 22. Set up a tie against Luton in the next round. Immediate thoughts on the draw, which we've just watched before coming on here.
Yeah, a bit disappointing. We're playing them in the league that week as well, and we was hoping for like Palace or West Ham away or something. A bit of excitement. But there you go. It's a chance to probably try some of these players again. I doubt he'll put a full strength team out when they're playing on the Friday that week. So I imagine both teams will probably have fringe teams out. But it's they're at home, so they've got a chance of winning that one. Could have a cup run. You never know. Second round could be a cup run for us, really. But
Yeah, I think the only positive is that we haven't got to go to Luton twice inside 4 days.
yeah.
But so the home draw was the one positive. I can't see it being a particularly big crowd though, maybe because who wants to watch QPR Luton twice in that short amount of time? And it's bank holiday week as well, people possibly away, etc. Now, George and Brian discussed the opening day in the midweek show, but I'm keen to quickly get your thoughts on it. A 3-1 defeat against West Brom, not an ideal start to the league campaign.
No, it was similar to the Cambridge one. I mean, it was a well worked goal that we scored, and I thought we looked quite good at times in the first 20 minutes or so. But West Brom thoroughly deserved to win the game. I thought they dominated us in midfield. We just didn't seem to have an answer to them in midfield. And they were just so easily getting the ball out wide and in behind us. I mean, the three goals were all pretty similar. Should have defended them all better, but they had other chances and they got into those positions so often. You know, the midfield looks a bit worrying to me. We got better when Varane came on in the second half, but West Brom had sat back at that point, so I'm not sure, you know, how much of an influence that had. The only positive I could take of it, we did keep creating chances, even at 3-1, and we probably should have got back to 3-2. Missed a good chance. I did Frey, which would have made it interesting. So they kept going. There's a lot of character in the team still, but it just doesn't seem to be clicking yet. Very early on, but in the season, but it just doesn't look right at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's good that you mentioned the character because that was a positive. Because at one point I thought, God, this is going to be like 4-1, 5-1, and we're going to have
Mm.
another opening day like last year. So at least that didn't happen. But it's funny you mentioned the midfield a few times there because in my notes here, I've got the passing accuracy last season with QPR was around 78%. We were 10% lower than that. So we just were not holding on to the ball at all. Our number of completed passes ranked in the bottom three for the teams in that last weekend. We hit 91 long passes. Only Millwall and Derby did more of them. And we'll probably come back to some of the factors when we discuss QPR again later, but it just wasn't a performance like a Marty Cifuentes side that we've known. So important not to panic. It was only one game, and we know Marty is an astute guy, and he'll have learnt a lot, and he'll have lots to change as we go forward, because it's Sheffield United away next. We did well against Sheffield United 2 years ago when we last met. We won at Bramall Lane when Michael Beale's QPR were heading towards the top of the table. We drew at home when QPR were heading back towards near the bottom of the table. That was under Neil Critchley. But overall, we've struggled against Sheffield United over the years. In the last 9 meetings, QPR have failed to score more than 1 goal. It's now 13 years since we scored more than one in a game against them. And you suspect that might have to change in order for us to get something this weekend. Now, when the fixtures came out, we discussed that this was maybe a better time to play a relegated side whilst they're still adapting to the league, sorting the squad out, etc. But Sheffield United beat Preston 2-0 away last week, scored 4 in the cup against Wrexham. So what do you think now?
Yeah, I mean, going off watching them last season in the Premier League, I mean, they were awful last year. I thought them coming down, they were going to struggle a little bit. But then you see their team on paper, it probably shows the gap between the two leagues. It's pretty good for this level. And you think, I wouldn't fancy playing them. They've got quite a lot of options up front, more options up front than we have. They've got some good defenders. They're strong in midfield. They could be there or thereabouts again. And I think that's what the parachute money does for these teams. They've rebuilt a little bit. They have made quite a few changes, but it allows them to do that. And they're certainly one of the stronger teams in the division. It probably is best to play them early while they're still settling in, but we're not looking too clever at the minute either.
No, they've made some very good additions. Kiefer Moore, Callum O'Hare, Harrison Burrows, Harry Suter our old loan, even Sam McCallum, and a few more to boot. And I think a lot of preseason previews were potentially writing off Sheffield United, but I think a lot of it was just based on how they performed last season. When you look at the squad, the signings, you can't see them being anywhere than other around the top 6, really, can you?
No, yeah, I think they will be. Just mention those forwards they've got, like Kiefer Moore. He's guaranteed goals at this level. He's a really strong player, and you look at them on paper. And I watched the game against Preston. I thought they were really impressive in that. And I think they'll get better as the season goes along. They'll probably bring in more players. I think, yeah, definitely. I think they'll be around the top 6 at least this season.
Yeah, I mean, 2 wins this week. It just got their confidence back on going in the right direction. It was their first win since the 10th of February. They got a clean sheet, and it was their first one in the league in 2024. They started on -2, so they've got rid of that straight away. It was just a lot of monkeys off their back, which maybe we would have preferred if they'd still had them and they were nervous and worrying about those kind of things. But now they're probably just relishing their first home league game of the season. QPR, so much to discuss this week. Across the 2 games, we've kind of touched on it, but we just looked so disjointed, didn't we? The subs coming on didn't really work in either game. Patterns of play where I thought this particularly against Cambridge, where the players just weren't on the same wavelength. Someone's passing it, the person's not even stood there, they've run off. And we almost look at times like we don't actually know what Marty Cifuentes has told them to do. And a chief concern is how open we are out at the back, aren't we? Because we spent much of the season preview saying we had a solid foundation and a good defence. Doesn't look that way right now, though, does it?
No, they look wide open at the back. The 2 fullbacks haven't started well at all. Powell's looked really poor in the 2 games, and I don't think Dunn's been much better, to be honest. Been quite easy to get in behind, and it's worrying. And a lot of it comes from the midfield. I just think when we're on the ball, we're trying to play through the lines, and when it's worked, it's looked really good, and it worked a few times against Cambridge, but we just seem to give it away so easily, and we're right under pressure. And we can't do that up at a place like Sheffield United. If you give them an opportunity earlier on, we're going to be in trouble. So yeah, I'm a little nervy about our defence. I mean, I think it will get better as the season goes on, but yeah, it's not a good start.
Yeah, it's caught me off guard. I'll be honest, how open we look. I didn't expect it, and for me, it comes from the pressing not working. It's hard to even see that we are pressing at the time because there's no cohesion to it at all. There's gaps that we then leave to exploit because the players aren't all pressing in the same direction, and there's gaps between the lines. I mean, Cambridge, you only have to watch the 2, 3, 4 minute highlights of the game, and it's just pass, move, back to you, and you're in behind our defence. It was just so easy, like I said before, slicing us apart. And you just alluded to it. But if we defend like that against Sheffield United, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say we are going to concede 3 or 4 goals in this game. Need to get back to the basics straight away. You're right to highlight Kenneth Powell as well. he either really needs to sign a new deal and commit to the club, or we need to look to sell him because we can't afford for a player to be phoning in kind of like half-hearted appearances, can we? And at the other end of the pitch, we knew we needed reinforcements in the final third. They have arrived, thankfully, two very exciting looking attacking players. Koki Saito, Karamoko Dembele have joined. Are you happy with them?
Yeah, they both sound really exciting signings. I've read a lot about them and seen all the clips the last few days. Dembele, especially, you saw what he done at Blackpool last year. He was probably their best player, and he scored goals, created goals, and just very exciting on the ball. The sort of player we like to see at QPR. Running at defenders, getting you off your seat. So they do sound exciting. Whether they'll be ready to start or not just yet, I'm not sure. I don't know how much of a pre-season they've had. But they're the sort of signings we need because we needed strength out wide. You saw the first game, you had Smith on the right and Coley on the left. They did okay, but you need an upgrade really if you're going to do well at this level. So yeah, they're hopefully positive signings, and they'll add a few more goals to the team.
Yeah, well, they certainly add pace, tick, trickery, tick, creativity, trick. So it feels like it's a win-win-win. We just need them to be fit and hit the ground running. Whether they're thrown in this weekend, you just raised that question mark already. So what trio behind the striker are you expecting against Sheffield United?
I would have thought Smith and Anderson were definite starters. But then, yeah, I'm not sure what to do on the left. I thought Lloyd did quite well against Cambridge. Coley did okay. I thought he gave the ball away quite a lot. It'd be interesting to see what he does. I'm not sure. I mean, you'd think Dembele would probably come straight in, and then you could potentially play Smith on the left and Dembele on the right. But it's a tricky one, especially with Chair still out injured. We're not blessed with a lot of options at the moment.
No, I think one of them will get thrown in, and it's more likely to be Dembele, I think. And then a lot of fans have actually mentioned it on the forum, putting Smith on the left because that's where he played and was in team of the season for Leyton Orient when he was with them. So that's what I would anticipate. As long as they're on the bench, though, at least it'll give everyone a boost knowing that we've got them there to come on. And with them joining, I'm still optimistic for our chances for the season ahead. Another new boy, though, Jan Salah, he's coming for some stick this week already. A number of harsh comments online. I'm sure everybody has their own thoughts, but is it surely too early to judge him, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't write him off yet on based on an hour against West Brom when he was up against two absolutely dominant centre halves, and we never give him the ball really. The only time we got the ball, he played a nice ball wide and we scored from it. Let's be honest, he wasn't overly impressive in either game, was he? And in the pre-season game the week before, but he's coming to a new country. It's a new standard of football. Very different style of football, I imagine. So I think it'll take a little while to see the best of him. I'm not sure he'll start at the weekend. I thought Frey looked a lot better against Cambridge, but I just think he'll ease in. He'll get better as he goes along.
Yeah, I mean, I acknowledge what some people have said about his performance. Like, could he have chased a bit more? Yes. Could he have shown a bit more urgency? Yes. But come on, we need to give him a few games, if not a few months, before we totally write him off. Some people have been saying he's useless and stuff, but like I say, let's give him some games. He just doesn't seem sure on things to me. You can see with his positioning and his role, he's just not settled at all. I think it could knock his confidence if he's dropped. So that's one factor, I think, if we do bring in Frey. But I probably would start Frey myself just because he's got his goal. Harsh, really, not to start him. Certainly one for the comment section on who you think is going to start up front. I guess the final question mark for selection at Sheffield United is probably central midfield, where Sam Field in particular has had an iffy start to the season. His pass accuracy last week was down at 59%. Jack Colback, by comparison, was on 84%. And even Varane, when he came on for 20 minutes, was on 83%. So you can see the difference what Field was down on. I think we all presume Colback will probably drop out for Varane longer term. But could Sam Field's position be under threat if he keeps posting numbers like that?
It definitely could. I thought he was really poor when he come on against Cambridge. Some of the things he was doing, you think he's an experienced player now. He just see the game out the last 10 minutes and he was just booting the ball up in the air and out for throw. And just like, calm down. You're the experienced one. Just keep the ball. Try and win a foul or something. It was a really odd performance for him. And I would think his place is under threat. I think Varane will probably start, but probably only do an hour again. I thought, like you, he'd probably be coming for Colback, but I think Colback's got a chance of starting. I think you're going to need a bit of experience in this game. This is a tough away game, and you're not going to get much tougher than this away from home.
Yeah, I think Colback will start away from home, like you say, against a team that's just come down from the Premier League. I'm sure those three players are going to split opinion in the comments too, as probably will our predictions. What are you going to say to finish? And like I said at the start, QPR have won the second league game of the season each of the last 3 seasons. Will we win it again?
I hope so, but I can't see it, to be honest. I do think we're going to have a bit of a slow start, and we'll get better as it goes along. But I just think just look at the goals that Sheffield United got in their side. I think they'll have too much for us. I think they'll beat us 2-3-1, something like that. I
Yeah,
can't see us getting anything there.
I agree. I just think with the way we defended this week, it's going to take such an improvement for us to get anything out of the game. I can honestly see a 3-0 defeat coming here. And I still have positivity for the season. They've got the new players, they've all got a bed in. But for this match right now, at this phase of the season, I can't see how we turn that performance around. But to be honest, we did last year. Gareth Ainsworth's side went to Cardiff and won the second game after we'd lost 4-0. So things can happen. And I'm sure Marty Cifuentes can iron some things out by Saturday afternoon. Of course, let us know your thoughts on the performances this week and your predictions for Sheffield United on our message board and in the comments. There's no midweek game next week, so we'll be back to preview the match against Plymouth later next week. Join us for that. Thank you for watching, and come on, you Rs.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.